Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to our show, The Upfront Mind, Body, Soul, where I'm your host, Michelle Bolden Hammond. And listen, I keep telling people about this show. We do things a little bit different here on the Upfront, but we go across the world. Look, last season we were in India. This season, we're in season 3. We are here going to be talking about in the Ukraine. And I have my lovely guest, Mr. Jonas Seyah, who is actually been in combat over there working. We're going to hear all about what he's doing, and he has some great work where you as the viewers can get in tune to him as what he's doing in his mission in the philanthropy of helping those in the Ukraine. Listen, when I tell you we have some good information, we have some good things that's going to happen. So Jonas, I want to say thank you for saying yes. I know you're kind of busy right now, but
it's my pleasure. What you do is, there's no words for it. I've seen your show. I know you as a person. I appreciate you allowing me to be on here.
Most definitely. And, you know, as I said earlier, what's so great about this is that we're touching lives. And I've always been a person about getting things out there to the need. And this is one way that this platform at Upfront Mind, Body, Soul, it's going to be an experience tonight. So, Jonas, tell us, how did you get involved and how this journey began with you? You do have some military background, but just explain to the audience, how did you get into this mechanism of going over Ukraine, volunteering your services, and what do you do?
All right. So, like a lot of us, on February 24th, when the invasion started, I'm watching CNN or whatever the news was that I was watching, and just watching it, and right there, something clicked inside of me. And I'm a person of faith. I believe in higher power, whatever it works for other people to call. I felt something inside me stir, and between my wife and I, there was a joke because she was watching me watch it, and she said she knew that day. She's like, I know he's going. Which at that day, I hadn't made any decisions. I knew that I wanted to see how it played out. Like I said, something inside of me just clicked. And then their president, Zelensky, when he told our president, I don't need a ride, I need bullets, something really clicked inside me, because this is a president which I myself, I think is a great man. Now, granted, when you get over there and get into the politics of things, just like over here, some people love Zelensky, some people kind of like him, some people don't like him. But as a wartime president, this man did not opt to leave his country. He was a comedian before he was a president. So imagine that, that dichotomy where he was an entertainer, sort of like our president at the time. But this guy saw what happened, and he said, I'm not leaving my people, no matter what happens, because let me tell you, from personal experience over there, it's not like here. They wouldn't gently remove him from power and put him somewhere. He knew that when he said this, in the back of his mind, he knew this could mean death for him. But he wanted to stand and unite his people. And to me, that really resonated with me, because I, like a lot of people, wish that something in our country could unite us. And now, granted, it was a horrible thing that was uniting them, an invasion, a war, whatever you want to call it. But it really, really resonated with me. I was lucky enough that, as you said, I did serve in the United States Army. Now, my Army career, I won't go into specifics of it, but I was trained to be a combat medic. I'm also an EMT and a firefighter in my civilian life. So I'm no doctor by any means, but when it comes to actual trauma, when it comes to combat triage, which is way different than what I do in the civilian world, completely different. I just felt inside, and let me say this as well, as I felt inside that I had something to offer and to give, I also felt, who am I to think that I myself, from this little town here, could go over there and help make a difference. But then I started thinking, like, how many other people feel the same way that I do? And if everyone just said they couldn't help make a difference without actually trying, then no one ever makes a difference anywhere. So that's really where it clicked with me. It was probably somewhere around like March 4th time, and my time frame might be off, but I think that's pretty much when all that took place. So I traveled into DC, and because being a veteran, I didn't know what if there could be ramifications for me being a United States veteran going over to another country to help their armed forces out, even though we're allies with them, even though we didn't support what was going on. I had to make sure that I could get back into the country, that I wasn't doing something wrong. So I spoke with the Ukrainian embassy, because at that time they were asking all foreign fighters, all foreign people with combat experience that wanted to help, that wanted to volunteer, just come on over, we'll put you somewhere. So I went over, and I would have probably left that day, but I had some things that I had to take care of, like I said, with the United States Embassy and with passport issues. Once I got out, that took about probably like 24 days, something like that, to get everything straightened in order. And during that time, I also felt that it might be a smart idea, because understand that you're doing this voluntarily. There's no pay involved with this, which means I'm not a newlywed, but we're, at this point, 2-3 years into marriage. So we're trying to build ourselves, build our status a little bit. My wife is a wonderful woman, supportive, just a wonderful, wonderful lady. She fully supported me, knowing that, I was supposed to go there for a month and just volunteer. The way they said that it would go is that you would go over there, you get to a checkpoint at the border, you have to fly into Poland. There's no international, actually, there's no airspace over there. You can fly through now. So flew into Warsaw, was supposed to go meet somebody at the border, and they would have taken you into like the territorial defense or foreign legion. But a lot of things that you heard on the radio and heard on TV wasn't actually how it happens. What happened for me is I decided that I could take the training that I had, which was, if you were added together, about 22 weeks of combat training, medical combat training to the United States Army, and then served out the rest of my years doing my job, in some semblance of my job. And then being civilian firefighter, EMT, I guess you could add it up to maybe 10 years of emergency medical training, from EMT to combat medic to rescue technician, firefighter, fire 1, fire 2, hazmat awareness. I figured that there had to be a place for me somewhere where I could do something. And quite honestly, I thought that I would probably get to Lviv, which is, if you're looking at a map of Ukraine, here's Poland on the left side, so the western. It's about 100 clicks in, 100 kilometers in. So I figured that I'd spend a month in Lviv. People being wounded could be sent back. Maybe I could help work on them. At that time, there was a lot of bombings in the cities. So I also thought maybe if I couldn't do something militarily, I could at least hook up with their fire department, with their whatever emergency task force they put together to help do confined space rescues, building collapses for civilians. Mm-hmm. And I figured that's pretty much how my time was going to be spent for that one month that I was going to be there. So what happened is, within a day, I got into Lviv. I also thought that this would be a semi-safe place, because you're looking at close to the western border, not the eastern front, nor the northern Belarusian, or I'm trying to get how my hands go here, not the Russian side, not the Belarusian side, but the Polish side. Well, what actually happened is I linked up with a group, which I haven't spoken with, so I'm not sure if I have permission to use their name, but I linked up with a group who I eventually stopped working with. Nothing but great things to say about them. We just, we had different aspirations, I guess, of, which way our work was going to take us, but nothing but love for those guys. But in Lviv, it was unbeknownst to me, call it my geographical ignorance. It's the transportation hub because being over there in Ukraine is not like America. Understand that here, I'd say 9 out of 10 people have cars, correct?
Right.
That's their transportation. You're looking at maybe 2 out of 10 people there. Cars, not really a thing. It's all kind of public transportation, railways, and this thing called Uber scooters. Is it Uber? Yeah, Uber scooters or Bolt scooters. There you go. So when we got there, I found out that Lviv was a logistical transportation hub, where all the things that were being sent from other countries would come into Lviv and then branch off into about 5 different railways to be sent off to different parts of the country to help out, the war effort. Well, obviously Russia knew this. So Lviv was blasted every single day. From the moment I was there, I mean, if we were lucky, you're looking at maybe 2, what we would call dumb missile strikes a day, which came in volleys of 5. So you could pretty much count them. When the first one hit, it was like bracketing in, like boom, 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 closer and closer. So anywhere from, if you're lucky on a good day, just one volley of 5, but it got up to about 6, and it got a little bit scary, which is, you're not on the front line there, so I didn't expect it to be that violent, that quick there. But
Right.
I saw a lot of the trains, the railways were just getting blasted all day, every day. So I ended up hooking up because of that with the amount of casualties you would see. And then it bolstered inside me because where we were staying, which I can't give up the exact location of that either, because I don't know if they're still using those places. But we were embedded with civilians, and I'm watching these people who are coming from the Western Front to Lviv because it's the last stop on the trail or on the trainways so they can get to freedom to another or safety to another country. So what happened for me was I was seeing an influx of people, and granted, I didn't speak Ukrainian, so a lot of people think that's a big big obstacle. It really wasn't, because trust me, in time of war, you can learn a lot from somebody and understand what they're going through and what they're saying just by keying into their eyes and just by the movements. Like if our sound was off right now, you could tell I'm probably talking about something that means something to me.
Right.
Well, I watched these people who were running for their lives, and it was mostly women and children and elderly people, because fighting age males were staying back. So already in my first week, I'm seeing people just like if you had family in Denton, and all of a sudden they've lost their loved ones, they've lost their home, they've lost everything that they've ever cherished, and now they're running. And although it's still in Ukraine, you're talking 600-700 miles away from everything they know, and they're scared and they're upset. And I'm meeting these people, and the next day they might be in a building collapse, and I know they're there. Got to go help them or not help them because it's not safe. So I made this relationship with people I didn't even know, and I found myself emotionally embedded almost immediately. So I then, by that time, we got interpreters, and the interpreters, you become bonded with them very quickly because they're your only link to any type of real communication. And my interpreter, Severe, he was a 20-year-old professional ballroom dancer, but
Wow.
he didn't look like that. He looked like your snowboarder kid with a bull nose piercing, but he loved his country, and we became bonded real quick. And we came upon an opportunity because they didn't have combat medics like we have. What
Okay.
they had was like World War One style, like litter bearers, and what did they call them? I'm so sorry. Hospitaliers is what they called them.
Okay.
And basically, they were just people who, if they saw something cut, they throw a bandage on it and try to take you to someone who could help you. Well, once we found that out, we started doing a class here, a class there, and all of a sudden, I fell kind of backwards in to a battalion of what we would call high speed over here. But if we're being honest, they didn't have a military per se before all this happened. They just didn't. Now I'm sure they had something like a military, but it wasn't anything like you would imagine our military. So
You know,
once they found out,
I'm sorry, but
no, go ahead.
it's very interesting that you talk about the talents, because you said as a president, he was actually doing something else, but they love their country. And that is amazing that they take that strength, and that's a true leader, because a leader
Yes.
would not leave his country. And I mean, he could have fled, but he stayed right there. And I noticed that even through with the news and all of those other, he's always been outspoken, and he's
Yep.
always, and I that was an experience. I can tell you, your first week is an experience. But listen, audience, we're going to take a quick break. And during this break, you're going to be witnessing what he has been talking about all this time about how his combat medic has really worked over there. And you're getting ready to have a look at what's going on. So stay tuned. Go grab yourself some tea, because there's some more tea about the Ukraine we're going to learn from my guest here, Mr. Jonas. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Upfront Mind, Body, Soul, where I'm your host, Michelle Bolden Hammond. And yes, I am here with my guest, Mr. Jonas Seyah, who is been to Ukraine, volunteering his services for the pride of the call of on this mission. And you said it's a call, because when you feel something, that's when it's a call. And to talk about the call and your duties of being in this combat medic, give the specifics on how will someone become trained in becoming a combat medic, or in the realm of they want to volunteer. Because audience, there will be also, he's going to talk to you about his philanthropy work as well. I'm going to let him talk about that in a few, about what he has done so far while he's on his mission in the Ukraine.
Okay. So, in order to be a combat medic, there's really only one way to go through making that possible. Now, you could probably take civilian courses, but to be an actual combat medic, you got to sign up for the armed forces. They have Navy corpsmen, they have Air Force PJs, pararescue jumpers. A lot of respect to those guys. The Navy corpsmen, actually, the Marines don't have their own medics. What they use is Navy corpsmen, who then embed with the Marines. So I'm not sure how that dynamic works. I myself was Army. What we did was we trained for 16 weeks. Well, we went to basic training for 9 weeks. So there's 9 weeks. Then AIT would be 16 weeks in Fort Sam Houston, Texas, which is in San Antonio. So add that together, that's 25 weeks. It's intense training. So you're learning basically 25 weeks of soldiering, and you go through, I'm making sure I'm not saying anything I'm not supposed to here. You go through a certain period of this where the last part of it is, how do I say this? The most realistic training that you can have without actually not being in combat. I'm not even sure. It's called Sticks Lanes. I don't know that I can say where it is, but it was very intense. It's very, very much like real combat. Now, I'll say this, once you're into the real combat part of combat medic, the one thing they can't train you for is the actual sounds and smells that you experience. And by that, I mean, you can train somebody all day that if Michelle's leg is blown off, then I'm going to put my knee in her femoral artery. I'm going to tourniquet quickly as I can, doing the March algorithm. Then I'm going to get her back to the yellow zone. I'm going to check for an airway, but oops, I already checked for that because she answered me back, which means she actually has an airway because she's speaking. I'm going to check for respirations, but guess what? I've been watching her heart as I'm pulling her back to the yellow zone or watching her chest rise. Circulation, continuing the March algorithm. Well, she probably has some sort of circulation at this point because she's still bleeding, so the heart's pumping. And head injury, I've been asking her questions while we're being pulled back, so I know she's somewhat coherent. I don't have to take a weapon away from her. It's called the March algorithm. It's very basic, first thing you do. But in order for me to still, to this day, muscle memory do that, I needed that 16 weeks at Fort Sam Houston to beat it into me. Now, you can teach me that all day, but what I found until my first experience in actual combat was, even though I know that all day, until I actually dealing with Michelle as she's screaming for her maker and asking me if she's going to die, and I'm literally smelling the blood in the air, the oxidization of it, the copper taste that I smell and taste in the air, possibly knowing she's not going to make it, but still have to talk to her and not let her know that, because I don't want to make her heartbeat go up and push out any blood faster, if that, for lack of better terms, to keep her calm. And at the same time, I'm getting shot at, and at the same time, I'm smelling cordite and smelling the smells of burning things. Not to get too graphic, but until I had experience with that, I couldn't learn that fully. So in order to become a combat medic, you've got about 25 weeks of training that's going to take place. As I said, you can get civilian courses on that. I myself have given some civilian courses. That's really the best and only way that you're going to get that. If you want something close to it, you could join your local fire department, where they'll put you through a wonderful school if you're in Maryland called MIFRI, Maryland Fire Rescue Institute, which I have nothing but great things to say about. You're looking at 262 hours of EMT course, which a lot of it's the same, but a lot of it isn't. An example of that is, as I just used an example, in civilian world, come up on a car accident and someone's bleeding and someone's hurt. I'm not going to drag you anywhere because I'm worried about neck stability or neck stabilization and pelvic stabilization. But on a combat battlefield, I kind of have to make a decision really quick. If you're already messed up pretty bad and you're still in danger, we're in the red zone and you're getting shot at, do I want to tell your husband or wife, hey, Michelle's dead because I wanted to take the time to stabilize her neck and pelvis out in the middle of a battlefield getting shot instead of drag her back to safety? So that's the big difference, well, one of the big differences between the two. And I think, to answer your question, those are the only two ways to go about it. The correct way to get certified is either your local fire departments, college sometimes have classes that'll go through MIFRI, or I'm not sure what the other states, what they're called, their rescue institute. But if anybody wants to learn, man, I'm going to tell you, I was not a guy that you told at 18, if you told me I was joining the Army or doing anything sort, I'd have looked at you like you were stupid. I'd just feel like you got the wrong dude, guys. But it changed my life, you know.
And you're changing lives by helping support those troops over there and training them. So that's the most powerful thing is, so you volunteered your skills and your time to help assist those troops over there and getting the right medical combat training that they need. And as we can see in the video, those were the troops and stuff that you were working closely with. Now, I thought I also saw there was the females too, right?
Let me stop you right there. You don't even call them females over there because we are all one. I have some combat sisters over there that are just go Terminator on you quickly. Because the cool thing about over there is they're not all they don't make a big deal about gender, race, any cultural diversity. You are Ukrainian there, and this is your country. And I need to point this out. It wasn't like I went over there and taught military soldiers.
Right.
These people didn't really have anything like a military like we would. So there's 17-year-old girls there. Okay, I should say 17-year-old women who, before this war invasion, they were college students. They were volleyball players. One of them was like a softball star for her college, gymnasts, shopkeepers, elderly people at that, people who would never have been anything military until you came to their country and tried to take their freedoms and their rights. And then they didn't look at it as male, female, old, young. They looked at it as, look, we're Ukrainian. Until this is over, we're staying all Ukrainian. And from elderly people to women to male, I got to be honest, they all went Rambo. And I say that somewhat in jest, but I say that absolutely serious. That's one of the things, Michelle, that really started to embed in my soul and in my heart is I love America. I love my country. I love everyone in it. I don't care if we're different. I don't care the diversity that we may have that makes us different. I don't look at that kind of stuff. What I look at is I see that's another human being, maybe on a different path than me. That doesn't make that other human being right and me wrong, or me right and them wrong. We're Americans. That's one of the things that touched me so much, because as I said earlier, I was supposed to be there for a month. I ended up being there for close to 7 months. And that first month that I was explaining, that was in Lviv. If I can cut back there for a second, right at the end of that, I said, that's when I linked up with the 47th specialized mechanized, at that point, battalion, which was 300 people. When I hooked up with them, I went from being in Lviv to, I don't know if this will all sound Greek to everyone, but Bakhmut, Kramatorsk, Bucha, Irpin, Kharkiv, Kherson, what else? Konstantinovska, Zaitsoma, I could just, Poltava, Kiev, sounds like a Vorzel, and that's just to name a few. So I went from being in the safety of the Western safety to being on the front line. Bakhmut right now is, and back when I was there, it was actually 0 point, which is, they call it 0 point, but we call it the front line. So all day long, from 30 to 300 meters, we could wave at the Russians. Like, we were in direct combat all day, every day. So
wow, that's, and also, I know when you were doing some medical stuff from when we would ask about how you doing and this, and I know the communications, because again, they knocked down everything. So that was a lack with the communication as well. But you surpassed all that, and even in the practice of the last of you coming home, the railroad, train that got they shot down the train that you was on, and then you had to find another way to get outside the country. So it's just amazing to hear this type of story, and then I'm thankful, and again, if you haven't been personally said, thank you for your service of servitude and serving others.
It was my pleasure.
But before we end up, I'm going to take a quick break, because last week's guest we had was Emma G, singer songstress Emma G. She was here with us last week, and we had to play her video because the song is perfect for talking about your transitioning from America, going to America, from America, United States to the Ukraine. So right now, audience, we're going to take a quick break, but I want you to listen at songstress Emma G, who was one of our guests last week.
Trying to get my feelings straight. I've overthought my mistakes. I drank more than wine, so hard to stay sober. I'm damaged and I'm love stoned, so hard to remain in control. Rewriting what I thought I know, and I'm drinking it in, but the lesson ain't over. You know what's pinpoint where we went wrong. I'm not about the sad songs. The foundation said I'm good to go. Whoa. No matter what comes my way, I'll be smiling every step I take. I'm a legend, make no mistake, that I'm living through the love lands. No matter what the future holds, I'm here and I'm not letting go. I'm a legend, baby, you should know that I'm living through the love lands. Living through the love lands. It's strange who I used to be, but I'm not going down quietly. I know I create my destiny. What is right is life, the evergreen knows it. I left behind the what if. I broke up with the negative. I'm flirting with abundance, and I'm drinking it in. My purpose is magic. You know I pinpoint where my love began. I'm so glad that I know who I am. Cause I'm the woman, I'm not the man. Whoa. No matter what comes my way, I'll be loving every step I take. I'm a legend, make no mistake. I'm living through the love lands. No matter what the future holds, I'll be here and I'm not letting go. I'm a legend, baby, you should know. I'm living through the love lands. I'm living through the love lands. I'm living through the love
All right, everyone. That is Emma G. She was with our special guest last week. Again, you need to look her up. She has some real hot music that's out there in the job. And speaking of music, I know someone else who is a musician as well. So Jake, so Jonas, so before we get ready to end, we actually want to share your philanthropy. Can you tell the audience a little bit about the philanthropy work that was done and what you've done so far to help also assist in other ways with the Ukrainian people?
Yes, I'm glad to get this opportunity because look, I could talk for hours, and I mean hours. Like literally, I didn't even scrape the top of the glacier on things I could tell you with this, and I appreciate the platform to do it. I do. I feel very passionate about it. So as I'm waiting to go back for the next round, so as you see the donations there, what I've done is there's a bunch of other trainers. Like it's not just me that went over there and did the things that I'm speaking of. I got my buddies, my group, my threes that are full of American combat veterans. One of my best friends over there, Chris from Sweden. You know, we lived together, we embedded together over there. They're still over there on their tour right now. So what I do is the 47th Specialized Battalion is who we embedded with. If you feel like you want to donate, as you see down there on the ticker, just go to the Zelle app. You can also email me at purplehaze0412, and it's purple, all lowercase, PURPLEHAYES 0412 period JH@gmail.com. What we do is we set up, how do I put this? So a percentage of the donations directly go to Ukrainian armed forces. They go for a lot of things, everything from their meals, because understand they didn't have any of this set up. So they've got an influx of soldiers coming in. How do you clothe them? How do you feed them? How do you provide them with munitions? How do you provide the trainers coming in some type of the same things I just mentioned? So you go there and donate, and a percentage of it goes to feeding, taking care of, the actual transportation it provide or that you need to get these trainers there. The rest of it goes directly into Ukrainian armed forces via the 47th, 36th Mechanized. You can email me at the aforementioned email list, and you can actually be shown exactly where each donation goes to and how it's broken down. I'll save you the time of going over the stipulations of that now. But if you're interested, please, by all means, email, send a Zelle. What I do is I do some Skype classes while I'm back here, where I'm constantly training the new crop of upcoming medics, because everyone who's trained, I'm trying to cram 25 weeks of training into count them 2 weeks, which usually gets broken down to 10 days, if we're being honest, because of the need. So I've continued in the circuit with the rest of my trainers, and as each one of us individually goes home to our country and our family, so that we actually, let me stop there and touch on this. I have to give thanks to my wife and all the families and friends, yourself included, Michelle, of us trainers that go over there, because these donations that you are sending in, they bring up the self-esteem and the ability to stay away from your family. You know what that's like? To be in a country that you're not really sure why you're there at first, but you feel so strongly that you're asking your family back home to go through hardships and to just go through the emotional hardship of not knowing, like you mentioned, the communications probably had. My wife didn't know if I was dead or alive, as I'm sure you know, for many days at a time. So anything that you send, the philanthropy aspect of that is, I don't personally get anything out of this. Neither do my trainers. What it does is allow them to go there and have a way to touch their family, have a way to see their family, have a way to be fed, clothed. If we're being honest, and I'm not going to go too much into this, there's also a portion of it that goes to having an out, because us as foreign individuals going there, if SFB, Russia, I don't go into this, but if they find us over there, we're not going to get taken and get treated very well. So there's a small percentage that goes to having a backwards way out, because as I'm sure you know, when I was trying to leave the first time, it's supposed to be 1 month on the first go around. I was there for 3 months, because on the front line, there was no way for me to get home safely, just plain and simple. Another way that I'm trying to figure out a way to do it correctly, I want to keep open what we're doing here in Ukraine, the group of trainers that I'm working with. We've formed together kind of as our own unit, and I want to keep it open that if another war pops off somewhere where it's not Ukraine, but similar things are happening, we want to carry this on. We feel like we've done, no ego intended here, but we feel like we've done something special, and we want to continue to be able to do it for everyone. Well, whether it be Canada, Sweden, Finland, North Africa, South Africa, Argentina, Spain, Australia, no matter where it is, we want to make sure that we have the ability to do this. And it's not easy to do out of your own pocket, because I can tell you, Michelle, you know me personally, I've been doing philanthropy and just volunteer work for as long as you've known me. My life has been crazy. I'm sure at some point, if you want to look me up, you'll see some crazy stuff where my faith, my higher power has put me in the right place at the right time on more than you see on my fingers right here amount of times, where I've been saving lives. And I say that with no ego. I say that because somebody somewhere was trying to tell me, hey, dummy, stop doing what you want to do in life and do what you're bred to do. I think I found it. I think I found my niche, and I want to be able to continue doing that. So philanthropy-wise, I've pretty much given up my life to having the finer things in life. What I'd rather have in life is when I die, I want to know that I've given to other people more than I've received from other people, that I've tried to balance that galactic karma, whatever you want to call it. And it means something to me. And every guy that I work with, trust and believe, the guys that I'm set with now, they're there, and the guys and gals that I'm set with now, they're there with the same mind frame. And there's a lot of them that I look up to. And that, to me, that's saying a lot, because I don't know, they mean a lot to me. So anything that you guys want to donate, anything of the sort, we'll be able to show and track where every penny of it goes. And if I reach 5 of you people out there through this that feel touched and want to do something, that may spark you talking to people and 5 more people from each person. Now we're at 25, and then 125. everything helps, man. Because the last thing I want to say is the Ukrainians aren't Ukrainians anymore. As you see the beard that's going here, I've never had one before. This is the Ukrainian coming out of me because I love them. And I don't throw the L word around a lot. I love them. They you can't be in combat with someone for 6.5 to 7 months and not really get to know them
Exactly.
On a more like a what's the word, animalistic, almost instinctual level. And I think if anybody here really got to know what it was like over there, not through the news, because I know you're interested in this, what you hear on the news, okay, it's just like the news here does. You're not getting the full picture, okay? And I'm going to tell you, when I came back here, I was mortified. Let me pull out Webster's dictionary. I was mortified to find out what people here were hearing, and then to know what I saw with my own eyes. It's a genocide, guys. People, this will go down in the history books. At this, Putin, I think, personal opinion, will be seen the same as Hitler was. I've never experienced in my American military career. Shout out to my American military. There's a lot of guys there that are way more high speed than me and done a lot more. And I want you guys to know that I salute you. And if it weren't for you guys, I probably never would have given this a chance. But you continue to inspire me every day, guys and gals. So I could have probably been a much better soldier and done a lot more stuff that you guys are doing. So let me point that out because that's very important. But with that being said, I fell in love with my Ukrainian brethren and sister, whatever you want to call it. And I feel if you guys knew that, knew what they were like, and knew that it's a young America, it's a budding democracy. Anything you can do to support them, please do it. If not, I don't hate you for it. But I think that if you really knew what was going on there, you might be a little bit more invested in it. It's the best I can say. And I'm sorry for playing word spaghetti there, but I wanted to make sure I didn't start cussing or anything because I get pretty heated about this.
Well, well, I see your passion. So I see your passion, and I know from your wife that she supports you, and because I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna tell you, I would told her, but she would tell me, I say, what? He didn't hear you. And she said, but then she says, well, I support him, and you done found a good thing because it been me, no, honey, you stand your behind home. So
now let's be clear. She not only did that once, Michelle, but I came home for 3 weeks, if you remember, and she was like, "Yeah, you're going back, aren't you?" I said, "Sweetheart." So I hope that every person is blessed to find a companion, a husband, a wife like my wife.
Cheers to the wife. Cheers to you. Got a backbone there, honey. You got a backbone. But I also want to say, you said one key thing that I liked. Well, everything that you said, I love everything. But one thing that you said, God always places you in the right place at the right time to save somebody. Now, I'm not going to go into details, but there was an incident that happened maybe about 2 years ago. And this was like during the, beginning of the COVID and during the summertime, that someone was at the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but I will just say that people are placed in the right positions. And when I heard about that, I remember that. So because I was actually it was anniversary time, and I actually was mad because I had to be in that traffic that day, that day with that person who wanted to commit suicide.
Right. But I actually remember the date, May 26, 2016, I believe. It was a day that I was out of the military for 4 or 5 years at that point, but that day solidified it for me because I don't know if you know this, but I try to be a very, I'm blanking on the word, but I try to let these things roll off my back. I'm not special. The situation was special, and I happened to be placed in that situation.
Right.
So I was actually recognized for that. And the next morning, as I was driving home, like I kind of knew something was changing my mind, and my higher power was like, "Hey, knock. You have a job to do. You need to get on it." But for a month, I didn't do anything, And then I get this award, and I'm coming back the next morning, and something of the same caliber happened on the way home, and ended up being behind a horrific accident for a special needs bus, and ended up being on there again. And the crazy thing was, I wasn't in the fire department in that town. And the fire department chief that came to the Bay Bridge was the same fire department chief that came to this accident. I'll never forget. I was holding the guy's neck in place, and he runs up to me and he's like, "You again?" I was like, "I know, bro. It's crazy. Something's going on here. Absolutely nuts." So yeah, it kept happening time after time. You are correct on that. So I would highly recommend, if there's anyone out there and these things are happening to you and it seems like more than a coincidence, take your pride, put it inside. Maybe what you think you were supposed to do in life isn't. Because again, at 18, I thought I was going to be Kurt Cobain. Let me tell you, I thought my life was going one way, and my life is not being a rock star, being a musician, and having buku dollars, and having a flamboyant lifestyle that everyone's like, "Oh wow, that guy's awesome." No, my life is being in the middle of some pretty horrific things, but the gift that comes back to me, no one can ever take away from me in some type of lawsuit or take this money away from me. The money that I get is inside my heart. And I say that with no jest at all. I say that dead face serious. No one can ever take that from me. And the people who are in those experiences with me, I hope they know that I don't see myself as the guy that was there for you. I see you as the people that were there for me to bring me, snap me into who I am and what I'm supposed to be. And if that's happening in your life, you got to trust that there's something bigger than us, guys. And there's something up there that's putting us in that place. So if that's happening to you, here's a thought. Go for it. Go with it. See what happens. You'd be surprised where life can take you. Trust me.
Well, Jonas, I want to say you have said a mouthful. You have said a mouthful, and I love it. I love the concept, and that's one of the things why it's so important that we share. And this is what the upfront mind, body, and soul is. We're all about inspiration. We're all about bringing that. But I love what you just said there. You might be doing something wrong. You gotta be, because you're not walking into your purpose, but you found out you walked into your purpose. And you at the
That's right.
humble state. You at the humble state where it doesn't matter benefit you get that, but those people are changing your life. Look at that. So that's what I'm gonna ask the audience. Well, whoever catches the replay to this,
Oh no, I got cut off. Uh-oh. Looks like I got cut off. Hmm.
well, we are back at the Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul, where I'm your host, Michelle Bowden Hammond. As I was saying, see how it was getting really good there. See what happens when it gets really good. See what happens when it gets really good. We give out the information. So
Yeah.
again, I want to tell the audience, help out this mission. And Jonas, we want to say thank you for spending your time, for coming on with us tonight. I greatly appreciate it. And for the audience, listen, as I said, we leading up to the week. Next week we will be back. We're actually gonna be having our name that tune. We'll come back with that next week. But I am just so excited, and I'm going to do what I can, because in the season of giving, I always give this, and it'll be a great way to give a donation to the 443-239-7037. So again, Jonas, is there anything else that you just give it? I always been asking my guests to end the show with an inspiring word for thought. Inspiring word for thought. So would you give our audience an inspiring word of thought?
Yes. First of all, let me thank you. I got cut off there for a second, but I wanted to make sure I thank you for allowing me this platform because I promise you, this platform will help people. Okay. There's people dying every day over there, people that are hungry. They're going to have to rebuild the country at some point. War just doesn't stop and everything's kosher and cool. So I can't thank you enough just for having me on here and giving me the ability to speak for my Ukrainian family who isn't here to speak right now. And all my other trainers out there, guys, I love you guys. Start three finger salute to each other. You don't want to know why, trust me, but it has to do with some insinuations and three fingers, put it that way. Nothing perverted, I promise you. But they're close to my heart. Michelle, you are close to my heart. Thank you for being there for my wife while I was gone. That means the
Yeah.
world to me.
Yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do. Look. I tell people. People look at me like I'm an international person. I have friends from all over different countries and everywhere. So when people tell me that, I used to joke. I say, "Well, I have an international belly." So if it
That's
hooks me
right.
up, hey, I might be over there with the president of Ukraine. Might be interviewing him one day. So I
Hey,
don't know.
I'll see what I can do for you. I don't have many. I don't know if I have that much clout there, but if I,
Hey,
one of my big things is to meet him too. So if I can, I got you, girl. I promise.
all right, see, look, we put that out in the atmosphere. We don't put that out there in the atmosphere. So hey, it's gonna come to pass. Believe me,
For
trust.
inspiration, for inspiration, I want to throw this out there. Now, this may sound corny to some, but it's something I told myself for a long time because we've all got pasts. We've all got things that I wasn't on the right track until I joined the army, plain and simple, 20 years ago. Well, close to 20 years ago. And my life exponentially got better and changed. And I met a wonderful woman who didn't change me, which was very important. She didn't change me. She helped facilitate me to change myself. And that's very important, guys and gals out there. But for inspiration, I want you to remember this, people. And you can interchange any word from guy to gal, pronoun this, pronoun that. I don't care. So I'm going to say it with the word guy or man. I'm going to say it with the word man in it. Interchange it to anything you want. This is what I told myself every day. The true measure of a man is not the mistakes that he has made. It's how he takes those mistakes and learns from them so he can better himself, better his crew, better his wife or his husband, better the people around him that surround him, and again, better himself so that he can help better the community, the environment, and the people around him. And that was a hard pill for me to swallow, a very hard pill. But once I started believing in that, things just, as you know a lot about my story. From where I was in 1998 to where I've come now, I'm not just some selfish guy who thinks the world owes him everything anymore. I'm a person who, in my eyes, and what I have to tell myself every day is trying to help induce a positive change in the world. So that's my inspiration to everyone. That change has got to be in you first. Don't look to someone else to change you or
Yes.
to give you even the power to change. It comes in you. And if you remember that you made mistakes in the past, it's okay. Just wake up today, learn from them, move forward, try to be a positive influence because everyone can be negative. Trust me.
Yes, yes. Well, Jonas, again, thank you so much for tuning and joining us tonight. I greatly appreciate this. I really do appreciate this so much.
Hey, I
And for the
appreciate you
audience,
and you welcome.
yes, and for the audience, until next week, and you know my ending show mantra is if no one has told you either today, the second, or whatever within a couple of days or a week that you aren't loved, just know that you are loved here at the Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul. Until next week, I'm your host, Michelle Bolden Hammond.
You got it. Thank you, Michelle.